Hi there, my name is Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel and another episode of Acoustic Guitar Pickups. It's been a while, but I've got one here that I've been playing for a few months I want to review on the channel. This is the LR Baggs Lyric. Now this is actually a microphone. Technically this is not a pickup, so why include it? Well, we're still using it to pick up and amplify the sound of the acoustic guitar, and I think this one is really interesting because so many people are searching for the ultimate my guitar but louder, my guitar through a mic on stage sound. And this is what this is basically. It's a microphone that goes inside the guitar. So if you've seen my other video on the Anthem, it has the true mic here and an undersaddle. Now the Lyric gets rid of the undersaddle and everything is done by the microphone. So the benefits of that undersaddle in the Anthem is that it amplifies all the low end and an undersaddle feeds back less on the low end than a microphone. So what they've done is they've allowed this microphone to cover the full frequency spectrum, but they've fine-tuned it to get rid of some of the problematic reflections and feedback frequencies, which is great. And it does sound very natural. Some people say online that it's too mid-rangey. And of course we can use EQ to correct that, and of course some of that is the result of them taking out some frequencies to make it not feedback, but it still sounds much more natural than any undersaddle pickup in my opinion, and that's a good thing. Now I have used this in the wild at shows, and there's a couple of things to bear in mind with this. It does have the possibility of feedback as this microphone would in front of me. So there's two things I recommend if you're going to use this Lyric microphone. One is a sound hole cover. Now Martin don't actually sell a sound hole cover that fits. You have to modify other sound hole covers. I will have a video on this coming up soon, so please subscribe and ring the bell. But this is actually a Maton sound hole cover. And I've made it fit by putting a piece of the soft end of the Velcro around the sound hole cover, which holds it inside very well. So that's the first thing. That will really help you prevent feedback. And I've been using these all the time lately with all systems anyway. That's a big help. But you will still get feedback from this because although the microphone is mounted inside the guitar back here, and by the way, it's active, it has a battery here, the microphone and the end pin jack. So it's very minimal. But it still has the preamp, which is nice. It's still an active system with a volume control. Now, one thing to mention about that is that when I first put it in, I actually had it mounted so you could see it here at the edge. It's not yellow like the other bag system, so it's pretty inconspicuous, but it blocks the sound hole cover. So rather than cut into the sound hole cover, what you do is you get a second adhesive pad from the controls and you mount them further up. Obviously, they're designed to sit in the edge of the sound hole, so it will be wonky if you stick it too far back. So you add a second adhesive pad, the same one again, or something similar, to make it flush against the top of the guitar. Now I still have the volume control, but you can't see it. To be fair, I just leave it 100% anyway, so I don't really need it, but there's no way to remove it from the system. I have to have it, and it serves a secondary purpose as well. You get the tool they give you, and you can adjust the presence of the mic to match the sound of your guitar acoustically, or to give you a brighter sound if that's what you're looking for. Obviously, the more presence you add with that control, the more kind of handling noise you'll get. So be careful with that. Maybe more feedback as well. So do be careful with that, but that gives you some control as well. So I think the actual way the system is made with the active preamp and the volume control, which a lot of people like, is fantastic. I really think it looks great because you can't see anything in the guitar. And it sounds, like I said, very natural. So let's get into the sounds. As always, I'm going to play you some chords. I'll do the same thing as before so you can compare it to the other pickups in this series. I'll play through the large condenser mic. Remember, this is a big Neumann large diaphragm. It's almost not even fair to compare this to the Lyric, but we're going to do that anyway. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to play you just this guitar through this microphone, about a hand's distance away, so you can get a feel for what the guitar sounds like in the room. Here we go. So it's also worth noting that this is a Martin 000 Authentic, so it's got a smaller body, which technically should feed back less, well, less than a big booming Dreadnought anyway, but it does have a very thin top and it's very responsive, which makes it a great acoustic guitar, but that doesn't always translate well, especially on stage, because it can just move so much and therefore it can feed back quicker. So bear that in mind as well. So now I'm going to plug in, you're just going to hear the lyric inside the guitar with no processing. This is what it sounds like going straight into the interface. So that's pretty awesome. I gotta tell you, when I use the in-ears with this thing, I get really lost in the sound. I almost prefer this lyric mic to the room mic. Well, this is a large diaphragm mic. A smaller diaphragm mic may be better. But you get all that room sound, which can be nice. But with the lyric, what you get is this direct, natural tone without the room sound. So it's almost like an undersaddle pickup with how direct it is, but without that horrible artificial sound. So to me, it's almost the best of both worlds. You also get the body sound, of course, because the mic is right on top of the guitar. So that sounds like this. So not as percussive as a body sensor on the top, like the Cole Clark has, for example, but very usable body sound to use in looping. So far, so good. Again, I think the sound hole cover is a must because that will stop any voice going through the guitar at the gig as well. For example, if you're looping, you don't want that to go through the system too. So I would definitely use the sound hole cover with this system myself. There's two things I don't like compared to the room mic. Well, one is that feedback frequency. And here's a tip. What you need to do is go through with a EQ and figure out what it is on your guitar. So what I was doing is I was tapping the top of the guitar with this mic turned off until I heard it starting to feed back through the speakers. And I figured out the frequency for that. The frequency on this guitar, and probably as similar for your guitar, was 144 Hertz. So this is the guitar flat as before. Wear headphones and you'll hear that woofy sound in the low end. I'm just tapping on the guitar. And now, if I go in there, what you do is you boost it to scan through to see which frequency is feeding back. You make it feedback more so you know that's the one by boosting the frequency. And then when you hear it feeding back, be careful with this, it will feed back. Or you just hear it in the headphones even, then you can take that down. And the louder you play at the gig, the more you can take it down. So let me take it out now by 20 dB, which is a lot. Check this out. It's really reduced it, and that's the difference between feeding back in the room and not feeding back. So you do need to do that. That's really important. And you need a mixer or an EQ pedal that will allow you to do that, to find the frequency and take it out. So on this guitar, it's around 144. I've done a really narrow Q, which means it's a very narrow band, like a notch filter. And I've taken it down 20 decibels, which is a lot. So now the guitar sounds like this. And that means I can now play soft to medium venues. Of course, if I crank up the PA by 20 decibels, it will still feed back because the 20 decibels that I've reduced will be back again. So it's all relative in that respect. But that will allow me to do medium to loud venues. And I've used it at those places and it's worked pretty well. You just got to avoid, obviously, pointing speakers at the guitar. It's going to be lively. It's a microphone in the guitar. There's one more thing that bugs me. With some guitars, a lot of rosewood guitars, in fact all guitars, even electric guitars, I hear this pinging sound on the D string. And I seem to hear it more here. Now I hear it on this guitar quite a bit anyway, so it could be something with the setup or just the guitar. But because the microphone is stuck right under the bridge plate, I hear it a lot on this guitar. But the great thing you can do with EQ is you can take it away. So I figured out the frequency for that as well, which was 2K, like 1.95K with a very narrow Q, boosted this time by 20 dB. Sounds like this. That is really ringing out. Of course, I've boosted it, which is why it's doing that. Now I'll cut it by 20 decibels. Remember, this sound is actually in the room, but by cutting it out on the EQ with the headphones in, it kind of fixes that problem, at least when you're playing live. So now it sounds like this with that cut and the other cut we had before. So that's great. And then some people say it's too mid-rangey. So what you can then do is you can cut some mid-range. You can add a little bit of low end there if you want to as well. And you can then shape the sound to be exactly as you want it. So here's further EQ and a touch of reverb just to show you how I have got the sound. And remember, if you're playing without monitors, if you're playing with in-ears only, then this is great because you won't have to worry about any of this. In fact, you could then boost the low end I took away earlier. So I'll do that now. I'll boost a little bit back again, because it's not going to feed back because there's no speakers in the room. So this is what it sounds like with the final EQ I arrived at. Boosted some bass, cut the problem frequency, cut the screechy frequency, added a little bit of treble, and it sounds like this with some reverb too. So I really like this system. Once again, this is not a pickup, it's a microphone, but so many people are chasing that tone and this gives it to you. You just got to remember that obviously it depends on your guitar. It's a microphone, so it will reflect your guitar. Not completely, not like an actual external high quality microphone, but it'll have a lot more information of the actual guitar than say an undersaddle pickup will have. So this will be very guitar dependent, and then you'll need to go in and shape it as well for that reason, like I have with my guitar, and I can do further tweaking to this as well to make it sound even better if I want to. You also can use impulse responses with mics as well, so you can reshape the mic tone. You can try that as well. But the fact is, this is the most natural sound I've ever had in my in-ears, and it does work at gigs if you're careful. So I really think this is worth considering. Now, will I leave this in here? I don't know. I'm actually thinking about going back to revisit the K&K again, but maybe not in this guitar yet. I think I'll leave this a bit longer, because if you're doing live streaming or demo recording or playing in a church with in-ears, or you don't use monitors on stage, I don't really think you can beat this as a system, because there's no artificial sound, because it is all real sound. The only thing is, you do have to take that high quality mixer or EQ pedal with you. I really wish with this system that you could go in there and preset a couple of notches somehow. I don't know how you would do it, maybe digitally, but then it'll affect the battery life. And this has excellent battery life as well. If you play a couple of shows a week, I think this will last you a year. So I would just change this battery every kind of 3 to 6 months, depending on my schedule. But yeah, this battery life is excellent. It's just a bag in here with the battery. So that works really well. If I could preset those notches, I could then take this to an open mic, plug in and go, knowing that it won't feed back. I think what a lot of people do is they install this, they plug it in with no sound hole cover and no EQ into a speaker and sit in front of it, and it just howls and they rip it out again. So the solution is a great EQ or DI pedal or mixer. So if you have a mixer, if you use in-ears and you want a natural sound and you love the sound of your guitar, you should really check this system out. So as always, please let me know in the comments what you think of the sound of this. Please let me know if you've used the Lyric mic in your guitar, if you're using it out there. It'd be great to hear from you. Subscribe and ring the bell. I'll be back with some more pickup reviews in the future. I may even revisit some pickup systems at some point as well to give them a second go. Like with this, before I learned about EQ, I would have said this is not worth using. Now I know how to use EQ much better. I can actually use this in live environments, and that's really helpful. So until next time, take care and be well, and enjoy those acoustic guitar pickups and microphones. See you next time. Bye-bye.